Consciousness. What does this word truly mean? Is it simply our capacity to be aware, to perceive, to feel, to think? Or does it run deeper? The very ability to interact with and be shaped by the world around us. When we say someone is unconscious, are they really? What is actually happening when a person sleeps or sinks into the stillness of deep, dreamless sleep? What stirs within someone lying in a coma for years, and what is it that finally pulls them back? What flickers in those last moments before death crosses the threshold? And after death, what then? Do we carry our consciousness forward, or do we surrender it? Quietly, like a flame going out. These are not new questions. They have been asked not for decades but for thousands of years, whispered in forests, debated in ashrams, pondered by sages who gave up everything in pursuit of a single answer. They were asked in the Vedas, and specifically in a part of the Vedas known as Vedanta, which means, quite literally, the end of the Vedas, the final portion, the destination. These texts are also called the Upanishads, and if you trace the word back to its root, it means to sit closer, to draw near, near to a teacher, near to knowledge, near to wisdom. And what wisdom do the Upanishads offer? What is the ultimate truth they arrive at after all that seeking? This, that the universe as we experience it is a dream. It is Maya, it is mithya, illusory, transient, not what it appears to be. And the only truth, the only reality that stands untouched beneath all of it is this: you are not separate from universal consciousness. You are universal consciousness. This is not a belief. According to the Upanishads, this is the truth waiting to be experienced. And the experience of it, the moment the illusion lifts and you recognize your own nature, that is called moksha, liberation. Not escape, but recognition. The falling away of everything falls until only the real remains. The Upanishads distill this into a single sentence, a Mahavakya, a great saying, Tvam asi, that thou art. But what does any of this have to do with you? How does the concept of universal consciousness connect to your life, to the way you think, the way you feel, the way you experience this world every single day? How can you realize that you are universal consciousness? And how would you even know if that realization is real, if it is truly the ultimate truth and not just a beautiful idea? The Vedas, the Vedanta, the Upanishads, they answer exactly this. Not once, but again and again, through different lengths, different examples, different variations. Sometimes directly, sometimes through story, through metaphor, through paradox. Why so much repetition? Because this truth is not easy to absorb. It needs to reach you from every angle, in every light, until it settles into you with absolute clarity. Until you don't just understand it intellectually, but feel it, live it, and finally walk the path it points toward. And what is that path? It begins with this world. This world so full of grief, sorrow, dishonesty, and distrust. This world that feels so relentlessly, overwhelmingly real. The Upanishads say, look closer. What you are living through is not a punishment. It is an education. Your soul moves through experience after experience, joy and loss, love and betrayal, triumph and defeat, accumulating every possible shade of human existence. It keeps returning, life after life, until there are no more experiences left to gather, until it has known everything there is to know, until it understands from the very depths of its being what is true and what is false. And then, slowly, something shifts. The soul begins to see through the dream. It recognizes that this entire world, with all its color and chaos, is mithya. Not evil, not worthless, but transient. A passing appearance over something eternal. And what is that eternal something? You. Not the you of your name, your body, your history. The you beneath all of that. The awareness that was there before your first thought this morning. The consciousness that watches quietly as life unfolds around it. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedanta, and countless Puranas and sacred texts across the ages all point to this same truth, calling it by one name, Parabrahm, the ultimate reality, the infinite consciousness from which everything arises and into which everything returns. And the Upanishads give us another Mahavakya, another great saying to carry this truth in our hearts. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am the ultimate truth. But let's come back to you, right now, in this moment. You are awake. You can see, hear, feel. You are observing the world around you, interacting with it, responding to it. You feel perhaps more than ever that you are conscious, fully present, fully alive. And yet, the Upanishads say this is the state in which you are furthest from your true nature. This state has a name, Jagrit, the waking state. And according to the Upanishads, it is the lowest rung of consciousness. Not because it is bad, but because it is the state in which Maya has its strongest grip on you. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you believe to be real, it wraps around you completely, and you mistake the dream for the truth. Now you go to sleep. In the ordinary sense, this feels like a retreat from consciousness, a closing down, a going away. But the Upanishads say something remarkable. In sleep, you actually move closer to your true self, one step away from Maya, one step toward the ultimate truth. This state is called Swapna, the dreaming state. And here, something shifts. The world of the waking state fades, and another world takes its place. You travel to places you have never been. You meet people, live through events, feel emotions, all of it vivid, all of it felt as real. Where does this world come from? From within you. From the vast interior landscape of your memories, your impressions, your imagination. The Upanishads call this inner store samskar, the accumulated imprints of everything your consciousness has ever experienced. In the dreaming state, you are the creator of your own world, and you don't even realize it. And then you fall into deep sleep. No dreams now. No images, no stories, no inner world playing out behind closed eyes. Just stillness, a profound, wordless quiet. This is Sushupti, the state of deep, dreamless sleep. And according to the Upanishads, you are now more conscious than in either of the two states before it. Not less, more. In Sushupti, Maya loosens its hold further. The noise of the waking world is gone. The theater of dreams is gone. What remains is something closer to your essential nature. A deep restfulness, a stillness that touches something real. And you feel it when you wake, not groggy, not disturbed, but settled, calm, as though something within you has been quietly, invisibly restored. Yet, even Sushupti is not the destination. Even here, you have not fully arrived. Because beyond these three states, beyond waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, the Upanishads speak of a fourth, Turiya. Not a state you fall into, not a state that happens to you in the night, but a state of awakening so complete, so total, that the word state can barely contain it. In Turiya, the seeker finally knows, not as a thought, not as a belief, but as direct, unshakable experience, that they are universal consciousness. That this awareness within them is the same awareness that moves through every being, every atom, every universe, seen and unseen, known and unknowable. This consciousness was there before the universe was born. It was there before time drew its first breath. It will remain when this universe exhales its last, when stars collapse, when matter dissolves, when time itself comes to a stop. It does not begin, it does not end, it simply is. And that is Parabrahm, the ultimate reality. Not a God sitting apart from creation, watching it from a distance, but the very ground of existence itself, the one truth beneath all appearances, the universal consciousness into which everything arises and into which everything eventually returns. And it is not somewhere else. It is not waiting for you after death or at the end of a long spiritual journey. It is what you already are. Turiya is simply the moment you remember. So how do you get there? How do you move from the waking state, caught in Maya, mistaking the dream for reality, all the way to Turiya, where you finally know what you are? The Upanishads don't leave you at the question. They hand you the map. Through the study of Vedanta, through the wisdom of the Upanishads, through sacred mantras that have carried this truth across thousands of years, through the precise philosophy of Sankhya, and through the vast ocean of Hindu and Indian scripture, the path is laid out step by step with extraordinary care. Not to give you information, but to gradually, gently, and irrevocably dissolve the illusion, until the joy and sorrow, the triumph and grief that feel so overwhelming today are seen for what they truly are, the play of Maya over something that was never touched by any of it. That something is you. This journey is what Sarv consciousness is here for. On this channel, we will walk through the Upanishads, the Vedanta, the mantras, the philosophies, one step at a time together, so that this wisdom doesn't remain a beautiful idea, but becomes something you actually live. If this resonates with you, if these questions feel like your own, then stay with us on Sarv Consciousness. The path begins here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone you feel is ready for this journey.